Lagos at night always felt like a performance. The city never really slept, it just switched costumes. In the day it wore dust, traffic, and noise. At night it shimmered with neon, car headlights, and the steady thump of distant music. On this particular night, the glow from the Zenith Pearl Hotel sign washed the street in soft gold, making the security booth look almost cinematic. Tunde Awalebi shifted his weight from one foot to the other and stifled a yawn. He'd been standing at the entrance for hours, watching cars come and go, people breeze in and out in expensive perfumes and carefully curated outfits. Sometimes he felt like a ghost, visible, yet not really seen. His uniform was the same as every other security guard's, dark blue, slightly faded at the elbows, with a badge that had lost its shine. His boots, however, were a different story. Those were polished until they reflected light, and his mother would have been proud of that. She always used to say, "Even if the world does not rate you, make sure your shoes respect you." So his boots respected him loudly. He checked the time. 10:47 p.m. His stomach growled quietly. He ignored it. He'd gotten used to ignoring that gnawing emptiness. Payday never lasted long. His father's medication, his younger brother Sei's school fees, his sister Damilola's textbooks, the rent for their small house in Ikorodu, they swallowed his salary whole. He lived in the staff quarters at the back of the hotel, sharing a room with 3 other guys, and most days he pretended that a life built around sacrifice didn't feel like slow suffocation. He leaned slightly against the metal barrier, eyes trained on the main doors of the hotel. A black Mercedes had just pulled up and a couple stepped out, the kind of couple whose clothes threatened your self-esteem. The man tossed the car keys at the valet without fully looking at him. The woman adjusted her dress and laughed too loudly at something that clearly wasn't funny. Tunde watched them glide into the lobby like they owned air. Sometimes, in weaker moments, he wondered what it would feel like to walk like that, like he never had to worry about a hospital bill or a landlord's text message. Then he would remind himself that wishing never changed anyone's account balance. He was still correcting his posture when the hotel doors flew open with such force they banged against the walls. Someone was storming out. She came out like a small hurricane wrapped in silk. He had seen her a few times from a distance, usually arriving in convoys or surrounded by people who spoke too loudly and laughed too hard. Ariana Bello, only daughter of Chief Samson Bello, the oil and shipping tycoon people spoke about with the same mixture of fear and admiration they reserved for storms and presidents. Tonight, she didn't look untouchable. She looked undone. Her hair, usually perfectly styled, had strands falling loose around her face. Her eyes were glossy, as if tears had recently been there or were impatiently waiting. The deep green dress she wore hugged her body like it had been personally negotiated with her tailor. Her heels clacked sharply against the marble as she walked, each step charged with anger. Tunde straightened, instinctively stepping forward to open the outer door, but she wasn't looking at him. She was somewhere else entirely, in that invisible zone between rage and heartbreak. She didn't see the small crack on the step. The heel of her shoe did. It snagged, twisted, gave way. She pitched forward with a gasp, and people inside the lobby gasped with her. Tunde reacted before he could think. He caught her, literally. Both arms went around her as she fell, and her body collided with his chest instead of the floor. For a moment, the world narrowed to the feel of her weight in his arms, the scent of her perfume, something soft but expensive, and the shocked noise that slipped from her lips. He could feel the stares. Staff. A few guests. The receptionist half standing behind the desk. The janitor's mop paused mid-swipe. "I've got you," he murmured, steadying her. Her eyes, wide and dark, met his. Up close, she didn't look like the cold, distant girl the blogs loved to misrepresent. There was something almost fragile about her, like the shine had been scraped off by something sharp. "I'm fine," she said quickly, trying to straighten, but her body betrayed her. Pain shot through her ankle and she groaned, wobbling. "You're not fine," Tunde said, his voice still calm. "Sit down. Please." The please landed gently. She allowed him to guide her to the bench near the entrance, every movement watched by people pretending not to watch. She hissed as she lifted her foot. The heel of her shoe had completely snapped, hanging awkwardly. She let out a bitter laugh, somewhere between shock and exhaustion. "Perfect," she muttered. "Just perfect. One more thing to add to this useless night." Tunde crouched in front of her and examined the broken heel like he was studying a crime scene. "It's gone," he announced after a moment, eyes flicking up to her face. "Everything is gone. she whispered without thinking. He thought she meant the shoe. Then he really looked at her. The smudged eye makeup, the faint redness around her nose, the way she held herself like she was afraid if she moved wrong, she'd shatter. "Do you want water?" he asked. Of all the things she expected to hear. "Are you okay? Should I call someone?" "I'm so sorry, Ma." That question wasn't on the list. It was too normal, too human. She blinked at him. "What? Water," he repeated. To calm down small. "Do I look like I'm not calm?" She shot back defensively. He raised one eyebrow. "Just one." She sighed. "Fine. Yes. Water." He rose and walked to the small security station, returning with a sealed bottle. No flourish, no fuss. Just water. She took it and drank slowly, the coolness settling her throat, then her chest, then her mind. "Thank you," she said. He nodded. For a minute, they sat in silence, the world shrinking to the soft hum of the lobby air conditioning and the distant sound of a generator. "Do you need help going somewhere?" he asked at last. Ariana let out a humorless laugh. "Back in there? To go and continue pretending I'm okay in front of my father and my cheating idiot of a fiancé? No, thank you." He didn't gasp. Didn't say ah or offer pity. He just tilted his head slightly. What did he do? She looked at him, a stranger in a uniform, and for some reason the words just spilled out. "He proposed last year in Dubai," she said flatly. "Whole dramatic scene, drone shots, violin, the full Netflix special. My father approved. Everyone applauded. I smiled for the cameras like a trained parrot. And, Tunde prompted. And tonight, I discovered he has been sleeping with my father's friend's daughter for months. Apparently they fell in love. And apparently, everyone knew except me." His jaw tightened slightly. "Sorry," he said. It was simple, but it didn't sound empty. "And the best part?" she continued, almost hysterical now. "My father's main concern was not my heart. It was how the scandal would affect his image. Do you know what he told me?" Her voice dropped into a mocking tone. "Ariana, you will not embarrass me with drama. These things happen. You will marry him and keep quiet." Tunde's expression darkened. "And you?" he asked. "What do you want?" Her response surprised even her. "I want to run away." The words dropped between them like something heavy and real. He studied her for a long moment. She braced herself for the usual lecture. Rich girl with big feelings, privileged but dramatic. Instead he said, "Then you're not the problem." That made her blink. "What?" "The person who is cheating is the one who is wrong," he said simply. "The father who is forcing you is wrong. You just don't want to be punished for another person's rubbish." She stared at him like he'd spoken a hidden language. "You talk like someone who has sense," she mused. He almost smiled. "I try small." "What is your name?" she asked suddenly. "Tunde," he replied. "Awalabi." "And you know who I am," she said. "Yes." He paused. "But you don't look like yourself tonight." Something about that sentence unraveled the last of her restraint. Her eyes filled with tears, and she quickly looked away, furious at herself that he pretended not to notice. "If you want to sit here for a while," he said, "nobody will disturb you." "I thought you people are here to disturb people," she muttered, but there was a faint playfulness in it. "Only the ones that need disturbing," he replied. She let out a small, unwilling laugh. "Are you supposed to be this funny on duty?" "I'm not funny," he said. "I'm hungry. There is a difference." That made her laugh fully for the first time that night. A real laugh, the sound bubbling out before she could stop it. Something in his chest relaxed at the sound. She stayed there for about 30 minutes, just sitting, sipping water, talking in bits and pieces. When she finally left, barefoot, carrying her broken heel like a relic, she glanced back at him. "Thank you, Tunde." He nodded, then went back to his position, hands behind his back, expression neutral. He didn't know that something had shifted. She came back the next night. He was almost sure it was coincidence. She walked more slowly this time, looking less frantic, more deliberate. She paused near the bench, then deliberately sat down. "Hi," she said, as if they were old friends. "Good evening," he replied, a little more formal than the night before. She watched him for a moment, then asked, "How long is your shift?" "Till 6 a.m. "Wow." She wrinkled her nose. "That's horrible." "It's work," he said simply. "And after that? You go home." He hesitated. "I live at the back. Staff quarters." "So this is just your whole life?" "Hotel gate, staff quarters, send money home." The way she said it might have sounded mocking from someone else. But from her, it sounded like genuine curiosity. "Yes," he said. She nodded slowly, then glanced down at the takeaway pack in her hand. Have you eaten? I'm fine, he lied out of habit. She narrowed her eyes at him like a suspicious teacher. You just said your shift is from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And you're standing here like this. When did you eat last? He looked away. Afternoon. Afternoon what time? Around 12. She opened the pack, revealing steaming jollof rice and chicken, the aroma instantly betraying his stomach. It growled loudly and rudely, her eyes widened. Is that your stomach or generator? He tried and failed not to smile. It's fine. Stop saying it's fine like a Nigerian uncle on WhatsApp, she shot back. Take the food. I can't, Ariana. Why? You. That's not a complete sentence, she said. I'm what? Rich? Fancy? You're Oga's daughter? Will you die if you eat food from me? He tried again. It will not look right. Is it fashion show? She asked. Please, take it before I change my mind. He hesitated a second longer, then finally accepted the pack. Thank you. Say it properly, she said. He gave her a small, reluctant smile. Thank you, Ariana. She leaned back on the bench, satisfied. You're welcome. That night, their conversation wandered. She asked him what he would do if he had all the money in the world. He said he'd start a security company, then send his siblings abroad to study, then maybe finally sleep for 2 days straight without worrying about anything. He asked her what she would do if she had no money at all. She said she'd move to a small town, write novels under a fake name, and sit in front of a small house every evening drinking Zobo like an old woman. He told her she was dramatic. She told him he was too calm. They both went home thinking about each other. Days turned into weeks. It became a pattern. She would show up late at night, claiming she was just escaping air conditioning and fake people. He would pretend it was strange for only 5 seconds before adjusting. They talked about everything and nothing. Her history with her father, his childhood, her boarding school trauma, his fear of failing his family, her resentment at being treated like her father's project, his internal war between ambition and exhaustion. He never flirted with her. Not really. He spoke to her like someone who respected her mind. It disarmed her. She was used to men who saw her as a trophy, a ladder, or a walking ATM. With Tunde, she felt like an actual person, complicated, messy, and allowed. One night, after a particularly vicious phone call with her father, she stepped out of the hotel, eyes bright with unshed tears. She didn't even bother to hide them this time. Rough day, he asked. My father said I'm a liability, she said, voice tight. He said if I don't marry the man he chose, I can forget about inheriting anything. That he didn't waste money sending me abroad just for me to come back and be stubborn like my mother. Tunde clenched his jaw. Your mother is stubborn? She left him once, Ariana said quietly. Before I was born. He dragged her back with apologies and promises. He's been punishing her for that courage ever since. Tunde was quiet for a moment. Do you want to marry that man? No, she said immediately. I can't even stand his voice anymore. Then don't. It's not that simple. It is, he replied softly. It will just be painful. She looked at him like she wanted to argue, then closed her mouth. There was a lump in her throat. She swallowed hard, but the tears finally spilled over. He moved without thinking.